So for lesson 14, let's talk about the equation first. So it says 2x minus star equals 12. So what do you notice about this equation, Tina?
You're subtracting a star when you don't have a star.
Yeah, so you're subtracting something that isn't there. Does anyone have an idea of how you might be able to do that? So you could go ahead and put your two x's on your board. How might you be able to subtract something that's not there? Danny?
Pretty sure it's like take away the x because it was like equal.
It's a good, yeah, and that's a good idea, except for that they are opposite, so they do have different values, so that wouldn't work. But I see what you're saying. Nina, anything you know?
Add a 0.
Okay, so if you added a 0 to one side of the equation, does it change its balance?
No.
No. So you definitely do add a 0 pair. By adding a 0 pair, what does that allow you to do, Nina?
Take away a star.
Then you can take away your star. So this legal move today is involved in the setup. If you think back to 2 weeks ago or a week ago when we had 3x minus 2x, remember? So you had to do that in your setup. This is similar to that because your legal move is involved in the setup, and then you just perform the rest of the legal moves as usual. And then same thing as the other subtraction in the setup, this becomes your original setup. So we would continue now by adding our 12, right, to the opposite side. And then this is your original setup, okay? Okay, so we have 3x equals 12, so x equals 4. Okay, so then to do your check, this is it. You don't have to go back to adding the 0 pair subtracting. This is your original setup. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. And then your right side equals 12. So the way that you show this in your written work, so you have 2x minus your star, so you're going to show that you're putting on a 0 pair, and then that you're taking off your star. And then you, again, like yesterday, might want to have a clean place to do your work. This one doesn't have it doesn't have any legal moves after it. But I'm going to recommend that you have a different spot so that you don't get confused with all the taking off. This one's pretty easy to see that you just have your 3 x's for your setup. And then we knew x is equal to 4. Okay, questions? I know it's just your first experience, but okay, questions, Charlie?
So you would keep the x that you add with the 0 pair?
Yes. So whatever you leave on after you've done your subtraction, you would keep, and that becomes your original setup. Maggie?
Why do you have to leave it? Because it's adding things not 0.
Because you have to have a way to do the subtraction. So the only way you can is by putting that pair that equals 0, and that allows you to have the pawn that you need to subtract. You can't subtract something that's not there. So you have to have the opposites, the 2, right? Or sometimes you might have to add 3 0 pairs.
Wait, wouldn't you take away the x since it wasn't there when you first?
No. So that's the part that you guys are missing. So in order for this to work algebraically, you have to leave that part of the pair. That's why they are a pair. They work together. We don't ever, we can add x's as long as we're adding, an x to each side, but we do that and then are creating 0 pairs. So you have to leave this on in order to solve the equation and get the correct answer. Maggie?
Why don't you leave on the star then if you leave on the...
Because you have to subtract the star.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Let's do another one, and it might feel a little more comfortable with a couple more practice problems. So I love these problems. There's a lot of taking off and putting on right now. So I'm actually not going to use the balance just because I think it's easier than me trying to set it up and take off, time-wise. But you're going to use your balance. So let's talk about how you would set this up. So we're starting with an x, so go ahead and put your x on. And now it says minus 3 star. So what do we need to do to subtract 3 stars that aren't here? Tina?
Add 3 0 pairs.
So we're going to go ahead and add 3 0 pairs. So you're going to start to see how much, I'm going to move this. You're going to start to see how much work you're actually writing and why you're going to need to have a clean working space to do your check. Okay, so now I've added my 3 0 pairs and immediately I'm going to finish doing my setup. So what do I need to subtract then? I added my 3 0 pairs so I could do what, Charlie?
Subtract the 3 stars.
So now take off your 3 stars and then finish setting up your equation. So I have plus 2. Everyone good with the left side? Okay, so then the right side we have an 8 cubed. And now I have to subtract 2 x's. So what do I have to add on here in order to subtract 2 x's? Grace?
2 0 pairs.
So I'm going to add 2 0 pairs. And what am I taking off? 2 blue pawns. Now I can take off my 2 x's. So that was a lot. See all of that? It looks very messy and complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to write this out 2 more times just because it's a lot for me to look at. So I'm left with this. So your balance should look like my board. So you should have 4x plus 2 equals 8 plus 2 star. Everyone have that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's talk about how we would solve this problem. So this, does everyone understand that this right here, this is your original setup? That's what you're going to do your check from once you figure out what x and star equal. Okay, so what should we do first? Natalie?
You do 8 minus 2.
Good. So 8 minus 2 equals 6. Then what? So I want those, let me take that off so it doesn't get confusing. You want those 2 stars off. So what can we do, Christian?
Add 2 x's to each side.
I can add 2 x's to each, 2 x's to each side. By doing that, then what can I do? Michael?
Take off the 2 0 pairs on one side.
Good. So the 2 0 pairs come off on the right side. So now I'm out of legal moves. I'm left with 6x equals 6. So x is equal to 1. And then star equals
-1.
-1. So go back to your original setup. This is your original setup. So you have 4 x's and a 2 equals 8 plus 2 star. Okay, so let's do our check. So on our left side, we have 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2. So 1 times 4, 4 plus 2. 6. On the right side, we have 8 minus 1 minus 1, or 8 minus 2 is 6. 6 equals 6. Check.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Questions? Nina?
So would you write this out 3 times?
It depends. Well, for today, definitely twice. And you can still use your maths. I do just because even that to me is a lot to look at. But it's kind of up to you. Definitely twice. If you could work from here and see that, or if you're using your mat, you wouldn't necessarily have to do that. But I won't say that you have to do it 3 times, but you might want to. Okay, other questions? Danny?
Well, if you use your mat and you just still write it out.
Well, I'm allowing you to use your mat because it's a new setup and a new legal move, so for the new work. But like tomorrow, this will be old work, so you would have to write it all out, you know? But if you're using your mat, you shouldn't have to. You could just write out your check like you normally would. But like tomorrow, you would have to. Okay. All right, let's try another one.
But you must write it out for 5 to 10.
Yeah, for 5 through 10, yes. Okay, here is, where am I at? Here is another one. Oh, I like this problem.
Yeah. You make me so happy.
Okay, so let's talk about this problem. So it says 2x minus 3x. So let's go ahead and put our 2x's on. Now it says minus 3x. So we only have how many x's? 2. But we need to subtract 3. So how many 0 pairs do you think we should add? Think about that. We already have 2 x's here. So how many 0 pairs should we add, Ryan?
1.
Yeah, we only need to add 1 because we only need to subtract 1x. We already have 2 x's. So we're going to go ahead and add a 0 pair, which then allows us to do that next step of subtracting 3 x's. Does that make sense? If you already have something there, you don't have to add 3 0 pairs because you already have 2 of those x's. Okay, and then on the right side, we have 10 plus x. So then this becomes your original setup. You have star equals 10 plus x. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so then I'm just going to erase this instead of writing it twice. So what's my legal move? How can I solve this? I need to get my x off. How do I do that? Maggie?
Add a starting side.
I can add a star to each side. And then what can I do? Nicole?
Take off the 0.
Good, I can take off my 0 pair. Now I'm left with 2 star equals 10. So star equals 5 and x equals
-5.
negative 5. So then going to your original setup, star equals 10 plus x. So our left side, we have 1 star, which equals 5. And then on our right side, we have 10 minus 5, which equals 5. You guys got it?
It's one of the easiest.
I think it's easy and I think it's fun, too.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have any other ones, so I think let's give it a try. You can turn it off.